He stood in the golden evening light with his arm in a sling and the whole town quietly behind him. He had just asked her the most important question of his life, and now he waited, without pressure, without fear, just completely open. Amara stood in front of him and felt the weight of everything land at once. New York, her old life, everything she had run from. She thought, how do you choose between the life you had and the life you never knew you needed? She said, I need time, Romeo, just a little. He smiled and said, take all the time you need. I am not going anywhere. Those 6 words were the most romantic thing anyone had ever said to her. That night, she sat alone by the fireplace while Romeo slept. She thought about New York, her apartment, her career, the version of herself that existed before that snowy mountain road changed everything. She picked up her phone and looked at old photos. She thought, the girl in these photos was always running towards something. She never once felt like she had actually arrived anywhere, not until Maplewood. Morning came and Romeo appeared with 2 cups of coffee, arm in sling. He set one in front of her and sat beside her and said absolutely nothing. Just let her think. She thought, this man has never once made me feel like my silence was a problem. She walked through Maplewood alone that morning. The small bakery, the hardware store, the mountain at the end of every street. She thought, I came here to disappear, but this town kept making me more visible. She found Margaret sitting outside her shop. Margaret said, home is not always the place you came from. Sometimes it is the place that was waiting for you before you even knew you were lost. Amara sat with those words for a long time. She went to the frozen lake alone, sat on the log where their hands first touched. She looked at her own reflection in the ice and saw something she had not seen in years. Herself, clearly, without fear. She stood up. Something had been decided, not in her head, but somewhere deeper. She looked toward Maplewood and thought, I stopped running the night my car broke down on that road. I just did not know it yet. She walked to his workshop in the golden afternoon light. She pushed open the door and stepped inside. And then she stopped completely. On the workbench was something Romeo had made with his own hands, small and careful and personal, something that told her he had been paying attention to every single thing she had ever said since the very first night. Her hand went to her mouth. Romeo turned and saw her standing there with tears streaming. He said quietly, I was going to give it to you when the time was right. She looked at him and said, the time is right, Romeo. It has been right for a while. I just needed to catch up. She walked toward him through the sawdust and golden light. She stopped right in front of him and said, yes, I want to stay in Maplewood with you forever. He looked at her and said, then you are already home. That night, her phone buzzed. She looked at the screen. Her mother's name, a number she had not answered in months. She stood there holding it while it rang, her heart full of Romeo and Maplewood and everything that had changed, and also full of everything she had left behind without saying goodbye.